Most people think they need thousands of dollars and a finance degree to actually get started in trading, and that is so incorrect. So let us tell you what you actually need to go ahead and get started. My name is Chrissy,
And I'm George.
and welcome to Married to the Market. So the first thing that you're really going to need is a proper mindset. Your mindset is everything because trading is a skill. It is not a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, patience and discipline is before anything else when it
Mhm.
comes to that. So you have to make sure that you have the patience because you will lose some of the times, right? So you have to have the right mindset to say, all right, you know what? I lost this one, but it's not the end of the world.
I feel like you need to understand that you will lose before you get started. And that's just what it is because you're now trying to figure out things. So don't come in with a mindset thinking that you're never going to lose on a trade because you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And so the second thing that you're going to need is a brokerage account. And this is where you're actually going to place your trades on.
You want to find a brokerage account that's easy to use. One of the most important things I will say when you're looking for a brokerage is make sure that you could paper trade. Because paper trading, you want to make sure that you could back test. You want to make sure that you could execute on that platform before anything else. And then, fees are going to important. Some people, they like low fees, but with low fees, they come with their differences as well. So some platform might charge low fees, but they might not give you certain things versus other platforms might charge a little bit more in fees, but you get a lot more.
We go live every single day on TikTok, and that is probably one of the most popular question I would say is
Yeah.
what broker? What broker? Guys, we created a free guide. It's in the description. It's called the Busy Trader Blueprint. Go grab that. Okay. It's very important, especially if you're
Hmm.
working, you're trying to navigate how to get started. Definitely look that up because we talk about the different brokerages. And at the end of the day, you're not married. Just like my husband
Nope.
said, you're not married to the brokerage. So
Nope.
we have different brokerages for different things, whether it be leaps, swing trades, day trade, and just find what you like. If you don't like it and you feel like it's not easy to use, go to somewhere else.
Yeah, you don't have to have one brokerage. There's no rule that says you have to have one
Yeah.
brokerage, right? So with that, just make sure that whatever brokerage you're using to execute, especially if you're day trading, just find something that you know that you're good and ease of use for you to execute on your trade.
Yeah. And the third thing I'm going to say is proper education.
Yeah.
We all need the right education. If you're going to be a doctor, right, you got
Mhm.
to get the right education. You're going to be a lawyer, you got to have the right education. The same thing comes into trading, right? Educate yourself, read books. We have a YouTube channel just as well. We give lots of information.
Yeah.
There's just a lot. You just have to have the right education when getting started.
The thing is, we give a lot of resources on YouTube, on our Discord, on TikTok. So there's a lot of resources that we give. So you want to make sure that you properly educate yourself. One of the main things that I always talk about as well as mentorship. Sometimes you could follow someone or someone can guide you so you don't have to make those same mistakes that you're making, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to trade things that you don't understand. So in a sense, you want to make sure that any trade that you're going into, anything that you're trading, you want to have an understanding of it and not wing it. Because if you wing it, then your account gonna get blown.
Exactly. So another thing that you have to really have is a news outlet.
Yeah.
You need to know what's going on in the world, right? I'm not telling you to listen to the news as you're trading, but you need to know because there's news constantly coming out, whether it be pre-market and you like, whoa, what just happened? You have to know. And there's so many different news outlets out there.
Yeah, you could use different news outlets. Now, you want to know what's going on as far as pre-market. So one of the things that I do when I'm trading is I always look at pre-market news
Mhm.
because that can affect the market. So you want to know before going into trades what's really happening.
Yeah.
Now, you could use different resources. You have Yahoo Finance, you have Bloomberg,
Benzinga.
and we don't have a preference. We just use certain things. Now, for the calendar, of course, we use Forex Factory for our calendar.
Yes.
One of the things is when you're in a trade or before you take a trade, if you know that CPI is coming out,
Mhm.
CPI is typically before market open, but at least you could see what the results are. So you could know if the market will be choppy or not,
FOMC,
right? You
just
have FOMC that comes out at 2 o'clock. You have different things that will happen. Sometimes the president will be talking or scheduled to talk. If you don't know that, you might get in a trade. And then when you get in that trade, everything is going good and then all of a sudden something happens and you're saying what just happened. It's because you wasn't paying attention to news and see what's scheduled.
yeah. You're also going to need a charting system. I know. Y'all going to say, well, Thinkorswim gives me a charting system. Webull gives me a charting system. If that works for you, that's
Yeah.
fine. But for George and I, we just have a preference, right? And so we like TradingView, right? We love the look of TradingView, the ease of TradingView, to be able to put in all of our alerts on trading. There's so much
I've been using it for
for
a while.
years.
So just knowing how to read the markets is going to be important,
Yes.
right? So you have to know your technicals. Sometimes there's some people that just trade strictly news, right? They don't have any technicals behind it. And if it works for them, great. But for me, I'm a technical type of person. I love to see what the charts are doing, and then I trade pertaining to the charts. Have an understanding of what charting is, have an understanding of breakout, whatever strategy you're trading. So when you see that trade set up, you could take it.
We wanted to take a quick break and say thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you know that 80% of the people that are watching this video are not subscribed? And you might be one of those people just as well. And if you are, do us a favor and click that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Watching this video, that means you might be interested in options trading. I'm not sure if this is for you, but I wanted to let you know that George and I have a 6-week mentorship called Married to the Markets. We'll be teaching you everything about options trading and holding your hand throughout this process. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, make sure you pause this video and check the description, because we're going to be putting all the information that you need and to see if you're qualified for this. So if this is something that you want, we would love to have you guys in the Married to the Market family. So guys, let's go ahead and jump back into the video. Yeah, learn the basics before you go adding 10 different indicators on your chart, right? Everybody wants like, oh my God, the latest, greatest indicator.
Yeah.
Learn your system first. And over time you can build. But to be honest, you don't need that many indicators at all.
You don't. They can be helpful when you're
But
at
they
a
can also
certain level.
cripple you.
Yeah,
Starting
when you're
out.
first starting out, you don't need 10 indicators. Now, when you come on my live, right? And when you come on my live, you will see me have all type of indicators on there. But it's because I'm experienced and I know what I'm doing as far as that. If you're just starting out, you don't need that, because there's going to be a lot of confusion. Sometimes you only need one or two things to help you on your chart, because the most important thing is learning price action.
Another thing I'm going to say is a risk management plan. You guys probably seen our videos. Go back into some of our videos. We talked about this, your to-do list, your not to-do list. But you need to have a risk management. When you get into a trade, how much am I willing to lose? Like if this trade went sideways on you, are you okay losing that amount of money?
Yeah, you have to know where you're going to exit. I always say when you're entering a trade, you want to know your entry, your exit, and your stop loss. So when you get in that trade, you already know your risk management, you already know your reward as well. But for people that to get in a trade and not understand nothing and just saying, okay, it pulled back, and sometimes moving stop losses, like you have to create a rule, right? Risk management comes in line with being disciplined, because if your stop loss is hidden, then don't move it. Get out the trade and, reevaluate your trade. And if that's the case where it's going the opposite way, then at that point you could get in that trade if you're ready. Sometimes you don't get in that trade, you just let it go.
You have to be very strict on your stop loss. And I really want to repeat this again, because sometimes you might move it and it played out in your favor that one time, right? And it goes back up. That's what the dangerous part is.
Dangerous.
You moved your stop loss and then you're like, oh, you see, I knew I was right. And then it goes to where you want it to go. The next time, that doesn't work in your favor. So regardless of whatever it is, regardless if the trade goes in the direction that you thought it was going to go, it hit your stop loss. And people who trade with us know, like, we're going to stick to our stop loss no matter what. If you lose on the trade, or we're still going to stick to it, because you don't want to start off the wrong way. You want to make sure that you're staying disciplined. This is all about discipline and consistency, right? So you're staying disciplined. You say, my stop loss is my stop loss no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the next thing is, the next thing to what you need is a trading journal.
Absolutely. I know I get excited about that.
Trading journals, you have to record your trades.
Yes.
Right? Why you entered the trade, how you felt about the trade, what was the setup. You have to enter all of that. Was it profitable? Was it
wins or losses?
Can't fix what you don't track, right? So you want to make sure that you're tracking everything. And then afterwards, you could go back and look at it and see the mistakes that you made, or see the things that you did good and try to mimic that all the time.
Yeah, you guys make sure, and I'm not talking about you're just tracking for 2-3 days, you're just tracking for the week. You need to have a long term so you can see, because there are days where you need to sit on your hands, because you know that on certain days you do not trade well, whether it be a Friday, a Monday. You're going to see this over a long period of time, but the only way for you to see that is for you to actually journal, for you to write things down. That's why
Absolutely.
George and I came up with the 100-day trading journal in our link in our bio, because we're traders just as well, right? We're not just mentors, we're traders. And so it's very important that you
Yeah.
write things down for you to see. If you got a love-hate relationship with Apple, leave Apple where it is. That Apple is not good for you, right?
Yeah. And
So you
sometimes you
would
need to
learn.
sometimes you just need to take a break from a stock. If you have a couple losing days on a stock, just take a break from it. You don't need to trade it all the time,
Correct.
right? So, what are things that you really don't
You
need?
don't need expensive softwares, right? So even though you come over to TradingView, you don't necessarily have to get the top of the line pack right away out the gate. They give you limited stuff. So you might be able to get 2 or 3 indicators, which is good for you to just start off with,
Mhm.
right? So you don't need to have all this expensive stuff. I think you also don't need to have 10 different indicators. That's why I'm telling you, it's okay when you get with the trading view and maybe you might not be able to afford the top package. Now we got a top package because we are deep in this.
Yeah,
But
but
just getting started, I don't want that to deter somebody saying, man, well, I can't afford trading view right now. Well, you still get some stuff.
they have different tiers. So what
Yeah.
I would say is if you're looking to get into trading view, we also have a discount that's going to be in the description. But one of the things is, remember, if you're starting out, you could use a free version when you're starting out. Now, if you have a platform that has the trading software on their platform, you can use that as well. But again, it's all your preference, right? So that's the main
Yeah.
thing. You don't need expensive software. You don't need to go out there and spending all the money at once that
Hmm.
you really don't know if you're going to use all of it, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you don't need big money when you're starting out your
Yeah. You
account.
don't need a
A lot of
massive
times
account.
people think like they need to have massive or 25K to start a trading account. That's not the case, right? You could start out with as little as 1,000. Some people start out with as little as 200. It all depends on what you're trading,
Correct.
what asset
And
you're
when you're
trading,
trading it.
and when you're trading. Yeah.
Absolutely. Another thing is that you don't need is a tip from everybody on social media.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I know y'all probably in those trading groups and somebody says, "Oh my gosh, such and such to the moon," and you
Yeah.
run.
FOMO.
No,
Yeah.
don't do it. Okay. You understand if you've been through our mentorship or you've been through a mentorship, you know what you're looking at. Trust what you've learned. Do not take, oh, well, this person said this is a good. So they might be telling you that because they down in it and they need everybody to get in it so they could raise the price so they could get out and leave
Is
you with the bag.
it's
But
just the fact of FOMO. You
yes,
get what I'm saying? It's like when you see other people trading and you see them making money, you're gonna be like, all right, you know what? I need to jump in it. So you see everybody, oh, so
correct.
is sometimes you don't need to be on social media. When we're trading, we don't watch any type of outside news, any type of outside noise. We're focusing on the charts at that point. We already know what news played out and what news is coming. So if we know that there's a particular news that's coming, we're not trading at the time it's coming out. So if I know that there's a news coming out at 10 o'clock, I'm not taking a trade right at 10 o'clock. I'll wait for the news to post,
Yeah.
see the direction, and wait probably 5 minutes in for it to cool down, then take that trade.
So we went over everything that you needed to go ahead and get started in trading. And we went over some of the stuff that you don't need. But if you do need mentorship, we highly suggest you guys apply. We have a book a call where you can sit down, we can
Yeah.
discuss if this is a right fit for you. We invite you to book a call and just come along on the journey with us. You always have a home in Married to the Markets. We have a Discord where we give lots of free education in there just as well. But the whole thing is you get what you put into this.
Yeah.
So if you're not really putting in the work and the study time, you're not going to get nothing out of this. That's just like anything else in life. But with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Share this with a friend or a family that might be interested in getting started in trading, and we will see you on the next podcast.
All right, guys.
Bye.